Hey, everybody, welcome to the You Are Worthy Network. So good to be with you again today. Hope you got to chime in to our first interview this afternoon. But I'm so grateful that you're going to watch this one. I think you're going to get a lot out of it. Um, you know, I love that I get to remind each one of you that you're worthy of love, respect, and success. I love that I get to remind you of that because I doubt you got to hear that at the office today. I doubt that you got to hear that from your neighbor today. Maybe you heard it from somebody inside your family today. I hope you did. But those specific words, probably not. So I'm grateful to be able to tell you that. And in our banner on the You Are Worthy Network, I don't know if you've ever noticed this before, but there is a subtitle at the bottom that says, Your story's not over yet. So true. You're going to definitely, after listening to this interview today, you're going to have a deeper conviction about your story not being over yet. At least that's my hope because our guest is fabulous. She is a walking testimony to resilience, determination, and being a servant. And you're going to love her story. So, with that being said, I'm going to read you her bio that I had pulled up, but it went away temporarily, but I've got it back. Okay, so Victoria Burmeister is a force of tenacity, positivity, and light. She is a motivational speaker who defied the odds after facing paralysis at age 19, proving that circumstances do not defy destiny. Through resilience and unwavering determination, she transformed adversity into triumph, becoming an influential speaker and motivator who inspires others to reclaim their power, embrace happiness, and find peace in the face of challenges. Victoria believes that the greatest barriers in life are often the ones we place on ourselves. She challenges others to break free from self imposed limits, step into their full potential, and design a life without boundaries. With deep compassion and understanding, she connects with people on a profound level, guiding them to release fear, rewrite their stories, and create a future driven by possibility, purpose, and true freedom. Her core message, health is the greatest wealth, and paralysis exists in the mind, resonates across all ages, from middle school students to adults. By sharing her journey of overcoming a devastating spinal cord injury, leaving her an incomplete quadriplegic, Victoria ignites a renewed sense of resilience and empowerment in everyone she reaches. As a successful entrepreneur, Victoria lives this every single day. She has built a business founded on God's principles of healing, helping others take control of their health while creating financial freedom. She empowers individuals with the knowledge and tools to achieve optimal well being and build lasting wealth, proving that true success is a combination of vitality, faith, and independence, no matter your physical state. Audiences who listen to Victoria walk away with a transformed mindset, a renewed belief in their own strength, and practical strategies to overcome obstacles. They leave inspired to shift their perspectives, embrace their potential, and take bold steps towards a life of purpose, fulfillment, and boundless possibility, while also learning how to cultivate health and create lasting wealth. Wow, 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 wow. Welcome, Victoria, to the You Are Worthy Network.
Thank you.
It's so good to have you here. Um, your story is remarkable. We'll get into that in just a second, but tell the folks that are watching around the world where you're from.
Well, I am from Arizona, um, originally Oregon to Maui, and now to very warm Arizona.
Indeed, indeed it is. So do you have family close by there in the Arizona area?
My son lives about 25 minutes away, but my daughter is in Vancouver, Washington, with her three kids. So I miss them terribly, but at least I get to see my son every now and then.
Yeah, very nice. I did not know that you were a grandmother. That's awesome.
It's a wonderful, wonderful experience.
Yeah, Vancouver's a long way away. We've got to do something to get them a little closer.
Yeah, she doesn't like the heat. The kids are used to the snow, used to the cold, and when they
Mm.
came here, they were in the pool. They didn't want to get out. So my daughter was like, "We need to go home."
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Well, everybody's got their preferences, that's for sure. Um, what do you like to do for fun?
Um, fun. I like talking to people. If it's regarding my testimony or my story or helping them with building their resume or researching something, that's those kind of things are what fuel me. I mean, I love sitting out in the sun. Um, and when it's not stifling outside and I can enjoy that, then I usually do for about an hour every day or try to. But other than that, it's I guess just making myself useful and finding something to do that helps me feel productive.
Sure, that makes total sense. Um, so I'm sure you get asked this a lot. Um, take us back to that day. I bet you remember the exact date. You were 19 years old.
Mhm.
You had a new to you car.
Mhm.
Um, driving down the road. Tell us what kind of day it was. Tell us about the car. Where were you heading? Just tell us about that day a little bit.
Well, it was a Friday because we were going back into town to go cruising. So I was driving an 81 Citation X11 and pretty car. I was so happy I finally had my own. And I was going into a 25-mile-an-hour corner and I went to downshift and it wouldn't take second gear. I tried again, no luck. Tried third and it was like stuck in neutral. So I ended up hitting gravel on the side of the road. Then I hit a tree, and the whiplash motion broke my neck. The third vertebrae slid over the fourth, taking the spinal cord with it. The higher you damage your spinal cord, the more damage that's done to the body. Doctors told my family that I would be nothing more than a head attached to a body, not able to move or feel below the level of injury. Well, C3, C4 is very high up in your neck. And back then in 87, high level quads didn't have a very um, success rate, I guess, let's put it that way, of getting better. A lot of them would die. And in the lawsuit, they gave me a life expectancy of 49 years. And I'm 57 years young and going strong by the grace of God. So I didn't claim that. And it, my life changed forever that night. I went from being able to walk out of my apartment to never walking back into it again.
I mean, there's so much there. I don't want to be overly dramatic, but such an intense accident. Were you actually literally in jeopardy of your life being lost that day?
Mhm. Yes, I was, because we were in rural Rogue River, and um, they didn't know how what had happened in my neck. And when I came to, I saw my boyfriend back then, Richard, and he was right beside me. And then I could see the police officer and the paramedic, and they're talking, trying to figure it out because there were no skid marks. There wasn't any damage done to the sign. There was a mark on a tree, but they're like trying to, put two and two together. And Richard was rubbing my hand, and he looked at me and he's like, "I'm rubbing your hand. Can you feel me?" And very, very faintly, I replied, "No." And they were like, "Oh, no." And they went and got the Philly collar out of the ambulance. And it was a 40-minute drive from where the accident happened to the hospital, because I did not want to go to the hospital that was nearby. I wanted to go where I knew I was familiar with. And they told me I was literally taking my life in my hands at that moment. And I said, "I don't care. That's where I want to go." And that's where we went. Um, it's a,
Hmm.
it's one of those moments where you realize you have control over nothing.
Oh my goodness. So basically, they said you're putting your life in your own hands because time was of the essence and it was going to be a longer drive. That's why they said that, right?
Yep.
So your boyfriend, Richard, was he following you?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like when the accident happened, he was behind you?
Yeah, I left a few minutes before he did. And when he came around the corner, he saw the dirt going across the road. So he thought, "Oh, Vic just clipped the side of the road and kicked up the dirt."
Mhm.
Well, as he came all the way around the corner, he saw me partially ejected out of the driver's side window. And that's when he ditched the car and ran across the street. And he smelled gasoline, and he made the decision to take me out of the car and away from it.
Was this in a very populated area?
No, it's rural Oregon. I mean, farmland. Um, no, it's very quiet, peaceful out there.
And then and just to give folks a time frame, because we're talking what, 88, 89,
87.
87. So there's no cell phones.
Mm-mm.
Did the police arrive on the scene, or did somebody call it in from a from a payphone?
I'm sure somebody called it in from a house phone.
Mhm.
Um, Richard's parents, they didn't live far from where the accident happened. It was literally right down the street. But he knew a lot of people that still lived out there, even though he didn't live out there anymore. So how the police got called, I don't know. Where the accident happened, there was a farm on both sides of the road. So it could have been either one of them that made the call. All I know is when I came to, I saw the paramedic and the police officer.
We know how the phone call got made, right?
And yep, amen to that.
So describe for us what you have to endure both physically and mentally on the
Yeah.
heels of this.
Um, I didn't know what to think. I um all I knew is my body was completely numb. And I didn't know if I was going to make it. I didn't know anything. I didn't know what to think. All I knew is I had my boyfriend there, and my family and friends would soon be called to the hospital. And I I just merely laid there um, in the emergency room as they took numerous x-rays. And and then the doctor has this drill, and I'm looking at him like, what are you going to do with that? And he said, don't worry about it. You're not going to feel a thing. I said, I didn't ask you if I was going to feel a thing or not. What are you going to do with that? He says, I'm going to drill a hole above each of your ears and attach tongs to it. And it's going to stabilize, attach, 40 pounds of weight to it to stabilize your neck so that we can do surgery. And then I felt him place it over my ear. I felt the vibration and I was out.
Wow. I mean, the rehab must have been intense.
Mhm. From November 9th to February 2nd. I will never forget those dates. And I was 6 hours away. And I knew I had to make the best of it because I didn't know how long I was going to be there. And I wanted to learn as much as I could how to live my life from a chair now, what I could do, what I can't do, and learning how to feed myself all over again, how to write, brush my teeth, brush my hair. It's not as easy as you think.
Oh, I cannot imagine. I mean, it's learning how to do life totally different way.
Mhm. Just
Um,
the weight of the fork on my hand, because I was literally so weak, was like my arm would do this because I couldn't control it. Just from the weight, it was a fork with an adaptive handle that went around my hand so that I could feed myself with a fork or a spoon. But I'm sitting here trying to chase this fork because I couldn't control it. So they helped me use wrist braces to give me that stability. But Richard, the stinker that he was, he would take it off and say, no, you need to gain that strength. You need to be able to do it yourself. And as much as I wanted to smack him for doing that, he was right. I couldn't be dependent on the wrist brace.
yeah. Oh, wow. Tell us. I know there's so much more we could talk about that, but there's so much more to your life I want to get to. But just to kind of top this part of this part of the conversation off, physically, what has remained the same and what has improved over the years? Does that make sense?
Mm, what's remained the same?
Yeah.
My faith. And what's improved? My faith.
Ah, good answer.
Because the faith that I had back then, definitely the size of a mustard seed. The faith I have now, the size of the Grand Canyon. And I mean, God has brought me through so much. The hemorrhagic stroke I had 6 years ago, that by the grace of God, I am fully recovered from. And I could have died from that too, but it wasn't my time yet.
I want to make sure I heard you right. Your faith then was the size of a mustard seed. Your faith now is the size of a canyon,
Grand Canyon.
Grand Canyon. Yeah, wow. That is so good. Um, and you just transition perfectly into what I was going to ask you about. So tell us about this stroke. You say 6 years ago?
Yes,
Symptoms? Did you have any heads up that it was coming?
none. I was in bed. My caregiver had just gotten me dressed, and I told her, I said, I've got a headache on the right side of my head. I never get headaches. And she says, well, you know what? Let me get the chair and we'll get you in it and see if that helps. By the time she did the transfer, which takes 2 minutes, I had the stroke. And my blood pressure, because of the spinal cord injury, was 80s over 60s at any given point time of the day. Didn't matter. That's what it was. And I operated perfectly that way. After the stroke, when the paramedics got there, it was 198 over 110.
Mm.
And I remember thinking to myself, what the heck happened that caused my blood pressure to go that high? And they just said it was a brain bleed. I was taking too much Eliquis. So now I take half of what I did, and by the grace of God, I've been fine so far.
Okay, so take us back to that day. Your caregiver's with you.
Mhm.
I were you rushed to the hospital? Was 911 called? How did that all happen?
Yeah. When she got me into the chair, she didn't know I'd had the stroke. But I knew because I couldn't get my left arm to cooperate with me. I'm all, what is going on? Why can I not hook onto the armrest? Well, I got a glimpse of my face in the mirror and I knew it right away. She came around the front of me, saw my face, and freaked out and grabbed her phone. And back then, you literally had to stand out in the middle of the street to get a signal because of the tower that they didn't have back then. So you had to stay in one spot in the house if you wanted to use your phone. So she ran out there and called 911, and I'm sitting there thinking, um, this is great. Why? Now what? And the paramedics got there within minutes because they've got a station in the same subdivision that I live in. So it took them 2 minutes to get to the house.
That was a blessing.
Yep.
If your faith wasn't that Grand Canyon 6 years ago, it certainly became that during that time, I'm sure.
Yeah, and I didn't even get what I was supposed to get until they took me to the second hospital. Because they took me to the hospital that's like 15 minutes away, but their CT scan was broken. So they couldn't do the
Oh,
CT scan
no.
there. So immediately they rushed me to another hospital that was 20 minutes away. And there they started the IV and gave me the medication to try and reverse the damage. And then they did the CT scan and saw that it was a brain bleed at the base of my brainstem.
Oh, goodness. So just so we're all tracking with this, right? So the car accident was in Oregon, but by this time, just a few years ago, you've been living in Arizona for years, right?
Correct.
Okay, so tell us, goodness, so tell us about the rehab for the stroke, because tell folks what you told me, because you basically were one determined lady not to let this stroke win.
Yeah, it took me like 10 minutes to tell the doctor. I said, I've the spinal cord injury, okay, I've got that. But this stroke business has got to go. And he said he knew at that point that I was going to be okay. And so 4 days later, I went home. And then I worked with PT and OT like 3 days a week. They would come, and so the rest was on me. And I swear I did more mouth exercises with my lips, my tongue, my cheeks, facial movements. Everything they tell you to do, I did them all the time because it was either I did it or they were only there 3 days, and that just wasn't going to be enough time. And I would ask my poor stepson and his friends, do I sound any different? Do I sound better? Do I sound like normal? And they would humor me and yep, you're sounding better and better every day. And I knew they were just being nice. They were sweet, but it helped. It kept my spirits up. And 4 months later, by the grace of God, the facial droop was gone, and so was the speech impediment.
4 months later,
Mhm.
no residual symptoms.
No, a little in my left arm. My left side was compromised due to the spinal cord injury because I'm right hand dominant. When I had the stroke, it affected the left side. So when all of this came back to normal, I could only get my arm up to my shoulder. And it wasn't until the LifeWave patches that now I can bring my arm up much higher and it's not a problem anymore. And there's no pain in my shoulder. So it's, even better.
Wow. I mean, that is a great testimony to your resolve and determination. Just incredible. You just mentioned LifeWave patch. Tell the folks what that is and how that's helpful.
They're all natural. It uh, works with the light that is inside our bodies naturally. So it stimulates, it causes your stem cells to activate and do what they were intended to do from day one. And our bodies are naturally made to heal itself. Um, and so I was all for trying it because it's all natural and I didn't have to worry about it interfering with my medications. But you just wear a patch 12 hours and then you take it off and then put it back on the next day for another 12 hours. And you just keep doing that. And some people notice things right away, a feeling. I noticed mental clarity and more energy within the first hour and a half. And then I knew there was something to the patches. But to be pain-free and not have a problem with
Mm,
that, it, that just sold me there too. So I get much better sleep and
mm.
it's very helpful to know that um, slowly I'll be getting off my medications because I won't need them anymore. My doctor's thrilled with my labs, so and we're lowering my thyroid medication, so hopefully we'll lower it to where I won't be on it anymore.
Wow, sounds like it's got a lot of benefits for sure.
Yes, it does.
Oh my goodness. So, tell us, um, well, I'll just say it. Like you obviously
Stop.
have a huge purpose and you have an incredible story to tell. And you and I were talking a little bit before we went live. I'm super excited about the project that you have just around the corner. Why don't you tell the folks about what I'm referring to?
Well, I finally wrote my memoir, and it was inspired 27 years ago by a prophetic word that of how I communicated and that my story needed to be told. And it would be used to not only minister to other people in similar situations as mine, but to those that are paralyzed by fear and addictions and excuses that keep them from fulfilling their purpose and reaching their destiny. So when I had the opportunity to be a co-author on a book called Still We Rise, I was like, well, this was easy. If I could write a chapter, I can do my book. And I just kind of sat down and started talking to my phone. And I think I had it written within the month. And I would go back, change this, add that, editing and things like that. But it's complete and I have the book cover design and everything's ready to go. I just need to get it published.
Yeah, and you anticipate that that's maybe 30, 60 days away at the most.
Yes.
I love the name of it. Can you share the name this early?
Whiplashed but not broken. A story of faith and resilience, a woman who refused to give up.
That is definitely an apropos title. A woman that refused to give up, the last part of that.
Yeah.
Um, guys, I'm gonna check that book out. You guys definitely check that book out. We'll get that in the description. So when it's released, you'll know exactly where to find it and what the title is. Um, what's next, Victoria?
Guys, the limit as far as I'm concerned. Hopefully, what I'd like to do is one day have my own podcast. And somehow that just terrifies me though. Um, mm, Sequels to Whiplash. I've already got them going in my head. It's okay, God, stop me on the one that comes next, because I feel there has to be an order to it. And just it's never too late. I'm 57 years young, and I've done more this year than I feel like I've done my entire life.
Yeah, your story, like I said at the beginning, your story's not over by a long shot, and neither are yours that are watching. Um, yeah, Victoria, I've got a talk that I do from stage, and when I was creating it, it was a humbling, grateful experience because I looked at what God had done the last 15, 18 years. And those things were remarkable compared to what I had done the first 37, 40 years, if you will. And that's him. That's him at work. I didn't come to God until I was almost 35 years old, is why I say that. Um, but the point, it's not about me. The point is we both can attest that God's not done yet. And so, if people want to learn more about you, what you're doing to make a huge impact in this world, you're a bright light. Where can they find you before the book comes out?
I am on Facebook, um, TikTok, and Instagram, Snapchat. I'm on those. We could put those links down below.
Mhm. Yes, we will definitely have the links in the description after the show for sure. I just always like the viewers to hear that from the guests themselves. Any words of encouragement that you could summarize your philosophy about life that you could leave with our viewers today?
Don't give up. Things can always be worse. Live your life to the fullest with no regrets because we're not promised tomorrow. And fulfill your purpose, reach your destiny, live the life that God wants you to live.
reach your destiny, fulfill your purpose, and live the life that, what'd you say? Live the life that God,
destined you to live.
live the life that God destined you to live. Wise words, my friend.
I
I
know.
want, go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry.
No,
It's
go
a
ahead.
far different life than I planned it would be. And I'm so glad that God walks before me and that He's in control, because it could have ended up very differently if it had been my way. And I'm a messenger. I'm a vessel just being used the way God directs me to be used.
You've got a great perspective about it. I'll ask you this, and we'll wrap up. Has gratitude played a significant role in sustaining you through all the challenges?
A huge part, because I could be stuck in bed. I could be attached to a ventilator, a respirator. Even worse, I could be dead, and I'm not. So I am so grateful for everything that He has brought me to and through it, because it has made me a better person. It's built up my testimony. I can relate to more people, um, and actually tell them that I understand and mean it. Is it
Yes.
ever, sometimes you think, oh my gosh, when is enough enough? And I'm just like, there's a reason, there's a purpose. And down the road, God reveals it. And I'm like, now I know why.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, Victoria, I just want to thank you for being with us today. I want to encourage you that your high character comes shining through. Your big heart, your drive, your resilience, your grateful perspective, your willingness to help others. You're a very, very bright light. And we need a light like yours in this world today. I just want to thank you for sharing with me personally, sharing with all our viewers. Remarkable. You're a remarkable person. And I thank you for being our guest today.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, guys, I hope you've been encouraged. I hope you've been encouraged by Victoria's story, her desire to not let circumstances dictate the quality of life that she is going to live here and here. Because those are the important things, especially here. Her story could have ended in 1987.
Mhm.
It didn't. Her story could have ended in 2019. It didn't. None of us knows if our story is going to end tonight. But while we're still here, just like Victoria, God's not done with our stories yet either. Be encouraged by her. Be encouraged that God's not done with you. You're worthy. I appreciate each one of you. Stay blessed. Have a great weekend. We'll see you very soon. Take care.
God bless.